Chet, how did you find out about the Rookie of the Month, and what was your reaction to it?
I was in the weight room lifting, getting big. And, my boy JR right there came in and told me. So it was cool, but I had to focus in and finish my lift.
I was just talking to Lou earlier, and he said, obviously you've shown a lot here in this beginning of the season, but one of the things he's been most impressed by is your ability to, adjust and adapt within a game. He said that really shined through in the fourth quarter in Dallas. What's allowed for that to happen? Your ability to kind of make those adjustments in game.
Just having a next play mentality. In a perfect world, you don't make mistakes in the first place, and then you don't have to execute down the stretch to win games because you're already up. But we don't live in a perfect world, so just having a next play mentality, not getting stuck on the mistakes that I've just made, just being able to analyze the mistake, why I made it, and then make the right play the next time down. I feel like I've done a great job down the stretch of games this year of doing that, and playing simple, and it's been paying off.
Mark gave you a lot of credit for even, getting this award yourself. You remain plugged into the team and play within this system. Just how important is that for you personally as a player, and just with this group in particular, how easy is it to kind of stay plugged into the group?
It's super easy because anytime I step out there, I want to play with these dudes. I know they have my back, so I feel like I have a little bit of a duty to have their back in return. So, just going out there playing for each other and understanding that, that selfless act, is going to pay off in return personally. And I feel like as a unit, everybody who's gone out there has had a great sense of that, and has kind of felt that same way. So, just going out, having fun, playing together, and have good things will happen.
Chet, I know you have 60-something games left, and you've kind of brushed off, whenever someone brings up the Rookie of the Year stuff. Just with stuff like this, do you ever just take the time to frame your early success and what it might mean to you?
Yes and no. What we've just done in the last 20 games is in the books. It's behind us. It's not going to change no matter what we do or think about. So we got to focus on the next 60 and figure out how to improve and get better and win as many of these games as we can. And part of that is looking back on what we've just done and figuring out where we can improve. But, focusing on accolades 20 games into the season is, not where my focus needs to be or anybody else's. So, I'm going to continue to focus on what we need to do tomorrow and going forward to win these games.
How familiar were you with Jabari just in the draft process, and then now you guys get to play against each other, and what he's been able to do and fit into the Houston system? Any thoughts on just the matchup and how you guys as a team are going to have to deal with what they're putting out on the floor these days?
Yeah, I've been playing against him since a long time ago, back into AAU and everything. Obviously a really good player, and Houston's a really good home team. They're going to bring it tomorrow, and we have to match their effort and intensity, and really key into the scout to make sure that we can give ourselves as much of a chance to win as we can.
I feel like you were asked this before playing any games, but 19 games in now, how do you feel like that experience from not playing and just actually getting to observe how the NBA works, how do you feel like that experience has helped you along the way?
Obviously, it's more helpful than not watching any games, but it's not as helpful as actually playing the games. I'll just leave it.
Somewhere on that scale.
One of the things, like one of your best attributes, I think, is that you'll try to block anything, and obviously that creates some highlights for you, and it creates highlights for other people too. Have you ever had people in your life who are like, "Hey, man, you should back off some of those. Like try don't try to do that every time."
Those aren't the type of people I keep around. So, no.
Chet, kind of going back to what you just said, when people make that kind of argument that maybe you're not a real rookie, just what do you think about that kind of stuff?
Who's making this argument?
Just viewers who say that because you were drafted last year that you're not a real rookie per se, kind of like Blake Griffin did back in the day and wherever else.
My job's to play basketball and show up and try to help us win games, and that's kind of what I focus on. Obviously, we wouldn't have the game as it is without the fans, and they're extremely important. But I'm keep my energy focused on trying to win games, and they can do what they do and argue about what they want to argue about, whether it's me or somebody else or this topic, that narrative, whatever it is. I'm grateful for it all, but right now I'm focused on our team and what we're trying to do.
Coming in,
Last one.
coming into the season, because you joining the team as a job lob threat,
Yeah.
and then even Josh threw the lob the other day and almost successful, and then I think the last game the Lou even threw the lob to the J Dub, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, are you guys practicing intentionally?
Yeah, we've been practicing it. We worked on it a bit this summer and training camp and everything, and we've had some good opportunities in the season, and it's just another one of those weapons that we're going to continue to work on, try to sharpen, and put to use to try and help us win games. So,
Okay,
yeah.
everybody's throwing the lob now.
Yeah, I mean, we got some athletic dudes on this team, man. I think everybody can go up and get one. So if it's there, we're all trusting each other to, finish that play.
It's for a young player of learning to read the game with one set of personnel and then with another set of personnel.
The best process is exposure to those situations and then reflection and learning from the situations. The game is too complex. There's too many possessions. There's too many things going on in a possession to try to paint by numbers and try to micromanage every little part of it from a coaching standpoint. So a lot of it's just expose them to it and see what we learn from it. Which is another point. It's like we don't know. We like to think we do, but we don't know how good of a player a guy is going to be or how things evolve inside the team in a natural way. And so we try to stay open to that. We try to stay aggressive in terms of exploring that. But the process is just kind of he's a good player. He's banged the door down. He's made it clear he's a good player. Let's put him in a lot of different situations, see what we learn, see what he learns, and then play the ball from there.
And what are you learning about him when he's maybe out there and he is a primary creator?
Well, the biggest thing I've learned is he's improved, so that's incentive to continue to do it. He's maintained a level of efficiency. He continues to make the right plays. He's drawing fouls. And then the other thing I think that's underrated about that is what he does defensively allows you to put really any lineup around him. So it really unlocks your ability to put other players around him that maybe have different skill sets because he's so versatile and who he can guard. Not just guys that aren't great defenders, but you can put bigger guys around him because he can guard down. You can put smaller guys around him because he can guard up. He's a Swiss Army knife.
Josh mentioned that they sometimes have to check themselves and remind themselves that they haven't done anything yet. What's your point of view on how they've been dealing with their early success?
I don't know how they've been dealing. I mean, all I care about is, how we show up and compete every night, how we show up and work every day. And we've cleared those hurdles for the most part. This team's done a great job of that. We need to stay present in the next opportunity. Our success has been a reflection of the first 20 games, and we haven't even had a linear constant of success in that period of time. So, but I also don't walk in and lash out and say, we haven't done anything. It's hard to win an NBA game. It's hard to win games on the road. I make sure I acknowledge those efforts, and I don't take those for granted either. But we have 60-something games left, and those are all unwritten chapters.
And speaking of Josh, and this might really be a question for him, but his efficiency is down in the paint, non-restricted area, and layups in particular. What do you feel like, or what do you might think that be an issue, be a cause to that issue?
I don't know. I mean, it's a complex game. It's hard to evaluate anything in a vacuum and separate one thing out. His efficiency's down. The thing, I've said this about other players before, and I'll say it about him. Your efficiency can be down or your performance can be down, and you can still be a better player. You can't convince me that with all the experience he's had in the past, he comes into the summer, he improves his body, he improves his shot, he plays national team and gets exposure to a different team, different role, high level competition. You can't convince me that he does all that all summer and comes back in here a worse player. Now his efficiency's down. That may be true, but he's still a better player than he was a year ago. And it's important for us, for you guys, for everybody to understand that development's not linear. And the reason we say grow through experiences is you have to grow through your struggles. And sometimes your struggles are blessings in disguise. And so he's struggled, obviously, from an efficiency standpoint, but it's not an indictment on him as a player. If anything, he's a better player. And he can churn these struggles with the efficiency into future growth if he interacts with those the right way, and I have no doubt he will.
Mark, I know you guys kind of underscored development as, the theme of this season, but at any point with some of the early success, with maybe the way things are unfolding, do you ever maybe change your stance on what you can get out of this season?
I mean, it's not even a theme for the season. It's like a value. It's a lifeblood of our organization, has been since I've been here. In this particular market, especially, it's really that's the engine to the car. And so it would be like if you have a value in your life or in your family, and I was like, hey, now that you're working for the Oklahoman, are you changing your value? You'd be like, yeah, probably not. It's kind of like who I am, and that's who we are. We're not changing that based on any outcome, and that's what a value is. That's what a principle is, and the development for us is one of the core values and principles of the building, not just the team or not just the season.
The tournament's made for kind of a different sort of week, so you have a lot of practice time if you want it. Anything different? Do you do anything differently this week because you got a little extra time?
Yeah, I mean, anytime we can practice in the season, we do. We had a nice practice yesterday. We had contact yesterday, and get some real work in. I think it's good for players' rhythm to get out here and get some practice reps, bump up against one another. Today we had a non-contact day, but also we were moving pretty good. If you look at our January schedule, there's not a lot of practice time there, so you take it when you can get it. And we have a team that comes into work, so it's not a fight to get them to play hard, practice hard, work hard. And I think we've made some progress this week.
Is Trey Mann going to be on the Houston trip or stay with the Blue?
All three of those guys that went there just for the day, we just floated them there. Our flight's at 3, and they pack their stuff at the arena. They're going to play the game, Olivier, Lindy, and Trey, and then they'll travel with us. That's the benefit of having the same city noon game.
And then Cam's talked a lot about Keontae's trying to form into the same system that the Blue play that you guys play.
Yep.
How have you kind of evaluated that from him? And then with the G League, you mentioned playing less games. Is there a different sort of marker for those games? Because typically it's 10, 20 in the NBA, whereas in the G League you don't have that much time that you want to have a sample size of?
Yeah, I mean, the sample size, you can only control how many games there are, but with less games in the G League, you have more practices, and we're evaluating the practices just like we are the games. So when Oos practices over there at Keontae, we're getting practice clips from the assistant coaches like it was a game. There's really no difference, because those are opportunities for those guys to improve. And then with Keontae, everybody starts at a different point in their career. Everybody starts at a different point relative to the team. Obviously, he hasn't gotten any opportunity here yet, but we identified him as a person that would be a longer-term assignment there, because there's things that he needs to catch up with and work on. But I think Jay Will's a great example, from last year, where it's where you start isn't necessarily where you finish. And Jay Will was able to make a lot of progress in his time with the Blue early last year, to the point where you look up, we took a couple injuries and we're all right, I think this guy's ready. Start integrating him into NBA games, and next thing you know, he's starting at the end of the season. So that, I'm not calling the shot on that with Keontae, but we just want every player improving and developing, regardless of circumstance, and whether it's a guy here that's not playing and using supplemental work here, or Blue games, or the guys that are on the court here. We want everybody improving regardless of who they are and where they are in their careers.
Mark, thinking back to the in-season tournament, now that it's kind of in its final stages, I'm just curious what you think the league has gotten out of it, and maybe moving forward, what could change about it?
I'm not gonna. I don't have suggestions on that for them. I don't know it well enough, but clearly it's been successful in terms of driving interest. I think that was the goal. Both interest of the teams and the interest of the fans and the consumers. I thought the league was very transparent about that being a driver of that, and I think it's accomplished that goal. I think anytime you could play different developmental contexts, elevated stakes, that's good. It's ripe for development, and we benefited from playing in those games.
I feel like I know the answer to this, one last anyway, but have a chance to pick up win 100 in your coaching career tomorrow. Does that mean anything to you?
No.